Hello everybody, welcome to our bonus podcast for this week where we are going to be talking about something a little bit different this week than the usual Corrie stuff, because we have been on a trip up north recently. You'll know if you've seen our social media, but not to Manchester. We went all the way up to Leeds to see the Emmerdale Village Tour. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today and our impressions and what we thought about it and what we did when we were there. So by we, of course, I mean me, Michael, and Gemma is here. Say hello, Gemma.
Hello.
She came with me and everything. So we just thought, we've been wanting to do this for ages, haven't we? How many times have we done the Corrie tour now? Like 5, 6, I've lost count. And we've never done this. Gemma, what is our experience of Emmerdale up until this point of watching it?
Yeah, so we watched... Did they have... Was it the 40th or something?
No, the 50th, I think, was the storm. We don't know anything about Emmerdale.
I can't remember. I'm sorry. We watched it when they had the Great Storm. And what was her face? Was riding around on a horse.
Yes.
Kim Tate.
Yeah.
Somebody fell off a
Quad bike.
Remember
that.
We did catch the odd Mina episode, but I didn't know what was going on.
I did remember, did we?
I think we would just turned it on before Corrie was on, and there was a big waterfall, and she was running around being evil, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, but basically we're Emmerdale noobs. But
I'll tell you what my biggest experience of
What?
Emmerdale was the recipe books. I think I learned quite a lot about the history of Emmerdale.
We did pick up some Emmerdale recipe books a month or so ago.
Soap Week.
The Soap Week, exactly. But no, we don't know anything. We know it's in a village. We know that it's in the country. And we kind of recognise some of the actors, but that's literally about it.
Yeah,
but
we see them at the Soap Awards sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. But we love the behind the scenes Coronation Street stuff so much. We thought, I wonder how this compares, because it's run by the same company, Continuum. So we were expecting it to be largely similar. And I just find it all, how TV, especially soap, is made fascinating. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to get up there and go and have a look. So that was how we spent our Saturday. And we're going to tell you all about it. And if you're watching on YouTube, we've got pictures and videos and stuff that we're going to be sharing as well. So how do you want to get started on this, Gemma? Did you have any expectations about how the tour would be before you went off?
I thought there would be a lot more information about the filming and behind the scenes and where things took place, which we didn't. I think you get that more from Corrie, but I will say that my knowledge of Coronation Street behind the scenes stuff is put together from podcasting, also going on tours with the actors and directors, and also many, many, many tours. So it's entirely possible that there was just as much behind the scenes stuff in this as there is in a normal average Corrie tour.
Yeah.
And we just don't... We've built up this knowledge over years, and so expecting to know it from one Emmerdale tour doesn't seem fair. But I don't know where the interior set stuff is filmed, and we could have asked him this.
I think there's some of it is just in a studio not too far away. I didn't know what was filmed in the village, what was filmed elsewhere.
No, we did find a map, didn't we, that said where the interior sets are.
Yeah. But we didn't even realise, until we were really looking into the finer points a few days beforehand, that we would even be... it doesn't even take you there, does it? Because you go to a place, Harewood Hall, which is a Grade 1 listed building nearby, and the Emmerdale set is in the estate of this, and then they put you on a shuttle bus and take you to a secret location of where the filming is.
Don't worry, it's on the map.
We hadn't even known that beforehand, had we? So I just kind of thought, we'd have a look round the villagey bit, and it'd be largely the same. And I think generally it was. And I think if you enjoyed the Coronation Street experience, then this is definitely as good. But I suppose it depends on how much of an Emmerdale fan you are. But you don't have to be an Emmerdale fan to appreciate it. I mean, we certainly discovered that. I was worried that I'd be like, this is completely going over my head, but I still loved it.
It's so funny how inadvertently they both reflect the environment that they're in, because Coronation Street is filmed at Media City, which means there's so many amenities nearby. You can visit it and just be on the doorstep by public transport, via car, however. But this Emmerdale one is literally, you have to drive to the middle of nowhere. This shuttle bus takes about 12 minutes to drive from Harewood House car park, and there's loads of parking there, to the the Emmerdale set, and it would be really cool if they played some kind of Emmerdale music or had some tape that they could play to explain a bit of the history.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that
I
on
really,
the shuttle.
really think that with a minimum amount of expenditure, they could bosh together something that would take 10 minutes to listen to. And I think that would really improve the experience and get people excited. The other thing about to say is that this Harewood House, you can visit this as part of your ticket, which is a really lovely add-on, an additional thing. You obviously do not get that with Coronation Street, so that's added value for everybody.
Yeah, it's a big old sort of stately home, isn't it? It's from the 18th century, and it was basically, you know, if you've been around one stately home, you've been around them all, as far as I'm concerned. But it was kind of interesting. We did a loot round, went down into the kitchens, had a cafe, went to the cafe.
Really nice. And when we were there, they had a Jane Austen and Turner exhibition, because Turner had painted many parts of the house, the exteriors of the house.
Yeah, in 1797 he was there, I learned.
We did learn quite a lot about that.
Yeah,
so that was fascinating.
They've also filmed some other TV shows there, like Victoria, you know, the Jenna Coleman show, and Downton has had some scenes filmed
Didn't
there
they
as
film
well.
loads of Jane Austen stuff, or was it just because they were talking about Jane Austen?
I'm not sure, they might have done, I can't remember. But that was quite a nice experience, but it's not really what you're going on the Emmerdale tour for. I feel like we need to go back in time a little bit, though, because although the Emmerdale Village Tour, I can't try to remember what it's called, the Emmerdale Village Tour was the main reason that we were there. We actually had a little extra trip beforehand, first thing in the morning, didn't we? Because our Emmerdale Village Tour was 2:00, but we went on a little journey of our own in the morning once we got up.
We drove up the day before, which is a good job because it took us 6 hours in the end. And so we could be chilled in the morning and not rush around. And we had dinner at a very nice place. I forgot the name of it.
So good.
And then, so when I was looking at the map, just like when we were finding the Airbnb, we were trying to find out where to go. And on the map I saw the Woolpack, and it wasn't near where the Emmerdale set tour was. I was like, oh yeah, these chancers. Who do they think they are? The Woolpack, whatever. And then I actually looked at it, and it really was the Woolpack, because there's a village called Esholt.
I think it's called Esholt. I'm assuming Esholt is the pronunciation of it. But yeah, this is about half an hour away from the Emmerdale where it's filmed now. But this, as we learned when we were doing all the research for this trip, was where Emmerdale was filmed between 1976 and 1996. And that wasn't the first place that it had been filmed. There was a village further up north, about 2 hours away, I think it was, called Arncliffe, where the first couple of years of the programme were filmed, for the exterior shots anyway. But that got to be a bit too far away. They're having to put the actors in hotels and stuff, and it wasn't really feasible. So yeah, they moved to Esholt. I can't remember what I said it was called now. For the first proper 20 years of the show, and it's part of the city of Bradford rather than Leeds, and you can go along there. And
yeah, we said we went to Leeds, but Leeds is it's not in.
It's just this tiny little village, like 1,500 residents or so, that dates back to the 12th century, and you can go along there and have a bit of an explore. And I guess it must be more exciting for an Emmerdale fan.
Yeah, I bet
go on.
Because it must be a bit uncanny as well, because it's ever so slightly different. They've changed the layout to suit themselves because they could do whatever they wanted. Obviously wanted it to look like the original,
Yeah.
It wasn't even the original.
This Esholt place didn't look apparently too much like Arncliffe, but it was close enough, and they thought, well, it's nearby, it's worth the move. But yeah, I think, for us, we don't have a good idea in our heads about what the Emmerdale village looked like anyway. So when we were walking around Esholt,
we had no idea.
We did a lap of it. We walked down some row of houses, round past the church. We were like, is this what Emmerdale looks like? I guess so. The bricks are the same sort of colour. Although apparently I learnt that it's a different type of brick. It was I can't remember. Is it limestone rather than sandstone or something? I don't remember. In the new place,
well, it's probably cheaper.
I don't remember, but I kind of recognised the look of the Woolpack, because I guess that's relatively iconic. And so we went and had a look at that. We wanted to have breakfast there, didn't we? But it wasn't open. It said it was supposed to be open at 10 o'clock on Saturdays, but we were jamming on that door, and we couldn't.
Here's a recommendation for anybody who wants to go to the Emmerdale set tour and has a bit of time before or after to have a meal. no slight on Harewood House, but their service was very poor on
Yes,
the day
it
we
was.
went. And I would recommend, if you want to have something to eat, go to the Muddy Boots Cafe, which is very nearby. I had one of the best cooked breakfasts I've ever
Oh
had.
yeah, that was tasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, that all came about because we couldn't get into the Woolpack, which is only called the Woolpack because of Emmerdale filming there. It used to be called the Commercial Inn, and the story goes that the landlord got fed up of having to change the sign every time Emmerdale came to do filming there. So it was like, stuff this, I'm calling it the Woolpack, and it's been the Woolpack ever since. But it sounds like it is a bit of a... a bit of a mecca
yeah.
for Emmerdale fans, isn't it? And I'm not surprised. I mean, if we had, there's no kind of equivalent in Coronation Street, really, is there? Obviously,
Even
there's
Archie Street doesn't exist anymore.
no Archie Street, which Coronation Street was built on, looks so completely different now. Well, the street itself doesn't exist, so you've got to just be standing in the same sort of area, and you can go along to Key Street and get into where they'd filmed the old place. But again, it's just been completely knocked down and renovated into something else, so you don't really recognise too much that you're there. So it's really cool that Emmerdale fans still can go to Esholt and feel like, well, they are standing in a place where for 20 years the famous faces of Emmerdale once stood and filmed. But apparently they ended up moving it for a variety of reasons. But one of them was that the villagers of Esholt were getting a little bit fed up of having all the Emmerdale fans turning up there. I mean, they still do, but I think it made it difficult for filming to take place as well.
Well, everybody knew that they were filming there. There was no security. You couldn't stop people watching it.
Well,
and spoiling things.
No, what I've read is that it still filmed for a good, 5, 6, 7 years or so without people realising that this is where the filming was. And this is obviously way pre-internet days, so word couldn't
up into the
spread.
80s, people would... And also... I think fandom is different now. I think that fandom exists in a different way than it ever did before, and we all kind of egg each other on and share what we do, and then it gives you ideas. I think it would have been really weird to have gone in the 70s to see where they filmed something.
But once
not weird, but just unusual.
Yeah,
but now it's not.
Out of the ordinary. But I think
tourism for television filming locations is completely
it's a big
normal.
business. Well, I think once in 1983, the Bradford Tourist Board advertised, "Hey, this village is where Emmerdale is." That's kind of opened the floodgates for the fans to come in, and they used to do coach tours, and apparently they were tramping their muddy boots all over the private property of the farmers that live there.
And they were knocking on doors and expecting characters to open the door.
Yeah, and
even when we went, there were all these signs up going, "Do not park in front of my house."
Yeah, it just got a little bit too much apparently, and they had an idea way back in 1989, I think I read, that they wanted to have this purpose-built set somewhere else, but it wasn't until 1996 that they could start putting those plans into place. And then this is where the new village came from, over kind of Leeds way, and Emmerdale's been there ever since. Well, almost ever since. There was we heard a bit about the Ashley dementia storyline back in that was 5 years ago? No, that was before Ian McLeod was the Corrie producer, wasn't it? Do you remember Ashley the Vicar?
He did the Ian McLeod's story.
Yeah, that's right. I think that was one of his last ones. And the character of Ashley, as they were trying to portray his dementia on screen, one of the things that they did for a special episode is film in Esholt. And so it was like a little bit uncanny, and it was a bit like the village that he knows, but not quite. And I'd be kind of interested to watch that really now, clever. To be honest, now we've seen it. It does sound really clever, and they got like different actors to play the characters. Couldn't do that on Corrie with Debbie, so I'll have to look out for something different there, I guess.
They could do it.
But it was really well worth going to, and if you're making the pilgrimage, if you like, up to that part of the world, if you're an Emmerdale fan from somewhere else in the country, I would 100% recommend spending half an hour or so in Esholt, and if you're an Emmerdale fan, you'll get a heck of a lot more out of it than we did. I know that they were trying to dissuade the tourists from coming, but there was still, they still liked to sell themselves, didn't they, as this is the Emmerdale village. There's like Emmerdale in bloom signs that we saw, and there was a corner shop there where you could buy like magnets and key rings with the characters on. So they didn't hide. Yeah. They didn't all hide the fact that this was the old home of Emmerdale.
And it was a very, very beautiful village.
It was so beautiful, yeah. This is what the one thing that I was really looking forward to about going on the trip as a whole, being able to be, in the midst of this Yorkshire countryside, which is an area of the country we've not really been to before, is it?
Not much. We have been.
Yeah, well, a little bit, but it's not too much, and just the hills, the dales. It was absolutely gorgeous, and it was a fairly nice day. It wasn't blazing hot, but it wasn't chucking it down with rain either. So we were really treated to a lovely, lovely view, and I think that's one of the things that made the tour extra nice for us, that the weather was good. But I suppose it's similar to the Coronation Street one, really. If it's chucking it down with rain on the day that you're going to do it, it won't quite be as pleasant. But
and you're going to get wet.
I'm going to say that Yorkshire welcomed us with open arms. So we had a lovely, lovely time. So that was kind of Esholt, and then we went from there over to Harewood House, had a look round like we said, and then we went over to the main new set, the Harewood set, and it was. What was kind of your first impressions of the village itself? Because you go on a coach, as you say, to get down to it, and there's a gift shop there, but it's not too long before you're walking down the track to the village.
Yeah.
What were you thinking as you were going down there?
Let me just say,
when you're going back,
amenities and facilities there.
Oh, go on.
Make sure you have food before you go to this bit. They do sell like snacks and things. It does look like they also do food sometimes, but I'm not sure. So you're not going to get fed there, really. So make sure you eat before you come. But there are blues, which is good.
Yes.
And I think this is like the green room kind of area, isn't it? Where
yes.
And part of the production studio.
Yeah, they said that the actors will sometimes hang out there before filming, but
It's
equally,
a little car park. It's not big enough.
No.
And also
they said they used the car park there to film the limo crash. Earlier this year.
They put more wax down or something.
Yeah, they made it look like.
And they've also got the sports area. What's it called? Hop.
Oh, the
hop.
We as we go through
You'll
this,
know we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
We're going to do our best to sound like we know what we're talking about, but we really, really don't. Yeah, there were a few bits on the tour that they didn't take us to see, and maybe they could have done, but I'm sure they got a good reason not to. But that outdoor pursuits little centre, you could see over a fence, and that was right by the original place where the shuttle drops you off. And there are a couple of houses that are up that way as well. I think the house that Mandy Dingle lives in at the moment is up there, and that's an old farmhouse. And we didn't particularly get to see that apart from a distance.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were missing out on.
No, we didn't. And for that, I mean, I would, I'm going into this saying that the Emmerdale Village Tour is absolutely fantastic, and if you've got any kind of passing interest at all in how it or any other TV show is made, I would 100% recommend it. But as non-Emmerdale fans, we were just appreciating everything that was being shown to us, and we weren't saying, oh, hang on a minute, what about this? Do we get to see this, that or the other? I didn't realise that we were missing out on a few things.
One thing I thought was really interesting, and I did wonder before we went there, was the size of it, because we know that Coronation Street was rebuilt more recently in Media City with a much bigger budget, I assume, than this, and it was built to scale properly. It's built, everything's the size it should be.
Yeah.
Now, this was built back in 1996, and so they didn't need it or care about it being the exact same size as a normal village or houses or roads.
No,
everything. I can't remember exactly what the scale is, but it's smaller than it should be.
I didn't get that impression. Did
it
they,
doesn't
did
look
they
smaller.
say that?
No, I know it is though, because
Okay.
he definitely said that.
Okay.
Because it didn't need to be the same size, and I doubt they'll ever get built the same.
No, and I think
there's no reason to change it.
No. I think this set is staying there now. It's really interesting for hearing about the development of it, because like you said, they did it in '96, and one part of the tour, our tour guide said, "So how long do you reckon that this took to make then? How long from start to finish to build this? Because originally it was just part of the Harewood Mansion estate, and it was a cornfield, they said." And we all had our guesses about how many months or years it took to make. 20 weeks. I couldn't believe it, could you? 20 weeks to build this full village worth of how many houses do you reckon? 20 or so?
No, I don't know. It's 11 acres.
Yeah. It was
They worked 7 days a week though to get this because they were going to move over Christmas, and so they because Corrie and Emmerdale both stopped filming over Christmas. So if you're going to, I think they did this with Corrie too. They moved it. They moved sets over Christmas.
You're right. I think you're right. Yeah, and this as well in Emmerdale Land was done to coincide with them moving to 3 episodes a week as well, which I guess is another reason why carrying on in Esholt probably wouldn't have really been feasible. But yeah, it was a cornfield, and 20 weeks later you had this whole village. And I would say that one of the things that I liked the most about this is that I really did get the feel that we were visiting a village. It didn't feel fake particularly, apart from the grass in a few places.
It was very picturesque.
It was really picturesque, and
there were no double yellow lines anywhere. That's how you could tell it was fake.
And it felt like it could have been a village, just plonked there in the middle of the hills. And with the Corrie one, you kind of you're there on the street, but then you turn the corner and there's where the street just ends, or it turns into a car park, or you go down this way of Coronation Street and there's the police station, but hang on a minute, that's not supposed to be there, or just over there's the precinct and that's not supposed to be there, and it just kind of cuts off dead. But you didn't get that impression on the Emmerdale one at all, or at least I didn't. I don't know. What did you think? What did you find that?
Did I find
about the fact that it was a whole village and it doesn't feel?
It did feel like there's an abandoned village somewhere near here, which was empty during the war by the army so that they could use it, and it felt like that to me, where it's like everyone's been moved out for some horrible reason, and now we can film television scenes. But
I'm kind of saying when you reach the edge of what this this Emmerdale village, it feels like, that's the end of it, and there's not like extra bits tacked onto the end and say, we'll pretend this is somewhere else.
This is actually really 3 miles away, but we'll put it here.
Yeah, because as you're walking towards it, they've got these fake street signs that say Emmerdale half a mile this way, Hotton 8 miles that way, and then you've got your welcome to the village sign, and then you have to walk a little bit further, and then it feels like you are properly coming to the village, that you get the tour around, and over one side there's a little bridge that you can go over, and then there's roads there that go off into the distance, and then the rest of it, it's kind of bordered by woods. It just felt very real and genuine in ways that the Coronation Street one can't, because that's supposed to be in the middle of this, rows and rows of terraces in the middle of a town somewhere.
You're not going to keep going and get to Balaclava Terrace.
No, you're not. You're not.
One thing that was interesting, he did talk to us about product placement and say, this car here parked in this driveway, this is product placement. They sent us this car because it appears on screen. But unlike Corrie, Emmerdale doesn't have a shop or any kind of branded business.
No, you're right, actually. There's no Sainsbury's or Argos or anything there in Emmerdale.
Not that Esholt or Esholt had this, but like most villages will have a corner shop that probably ends up being a Tesco Express or something, or at least a what's it called, a post office or something like that. There wasn't even a post office sign or It was proper quaint, but it was unusual in its quaintness and lack of brand stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So we kind of we got off the shuttle bus, went into the. Do you want to say a little bit about the shop actually before we got onto the village?
Shop?
The shop, the tourist shop. The if you're an Emmerdale fan, spend all your hard-earned cash here.
It wasn't obviously as big as the Corrie one, because I am assuming they have to break it down every weekend.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, if this is where the green room is.
But there's also green roomy bits inside the village houses itself, because that's what one thing that we didn't get to see, obviously, I suppose, is inside the buildings, apart from the odd few in the Emmerdale village.
I heard some people saying, I wish I got to see the interior. I thought we'd see the interiors, and you can look through one specific house, and I forgot the name of it, I'm sorry, but somebody's house. You can look through and they'll show you the kitchen.
Yeah,
that was room.
I think that's where Marlon's living at the moment. But a lot of the other houses are prop stores, or one of them is the supporting artist green
surgery
room. Yeah, exactly. Well, we saw that first, didn't we? But the actual, before we go into the village, you got the the place for us plebs to go and have our cups of tea and buy our... What did they have? They had magnets. They had
lots
little
of
welly boot themed things.
They did have some really cute merchandise and like the wall pack glasses.
Yeah, it wasn't dissimilar to what you can get at the Corrie tour, really, was it?
It was. There were a few unique items that you can't get, and same with Corrie, the other way around.
They had a load
there was
of...
a lot of... It was much smaller than Corrie's.
Yeah, there were lots of like suites with Emmerdale branding in the same way as there's like cabin suites that you can get in Coronation Street. But it was, there's a decent amount there to get if you're an Emmerdale fan. We didn't have any particular desire to be stocking up on all things Emmerdale because it doesn't mean anything to us. But we did buy we did get a David's shop bag. I don't even know who David is. Is David a character in the front? Doesn't Eric Pollard own this shop at the moment? I literally got no idea.
We've
got one of those.
Emmerdale, the thing that I love the most is the little stand outside David's shop.
Oh yeah,
because it was because they're obviously coming into October, I guess, filming. It was all Halloweeny and like pumpkins and stuff, and everyone knows I love that time of year anyway.
Yeah,
whenever I watch it, and when they're having scenes talking in the street, I always think, I love that little stand. Tell you what, it makes Devs go to shame, doesn't it, with his little plastic...
Does a little bit.
Bouquets.
We also bought the official tour guide, Emmerdale Village Tour souvenir guide, and this is, if you've seen the Coronation Street one, this is much the same thing. It's
£15.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's worth it, and it's got pictures and about all the different houses, and I'll for the YouTube people, I will put some footage over the top of it of flicking through it. But there's pages for each of the houses, and they say some of the main stories that have happened there over the years. A little bit of behind the scenes details.
Yeah, really nice.
It is a nicely put together little exactly. So we picked up that, and that's what you can get if you're doing a Star Tour, and the actor may sign it as well. We did the Star Tour, but we didn't get it signed in the end. So anyway, you walk down the road, and it's a good 4 or 5 minutes maybe. A walk to get to the village. They
stop you because they have a chat with you at various points before you even get to the village.
Yeah,
and I thought this ended up taking 2 hours, and it was supposed to take an hour and a half.
Yeah,
you've also got to factor in. You've got to get there on time to get your bus. Then you've got to factor in the bus going to and from. You're talking about probably 3 hours, if not more.
Yeah, make sure if you go in, make sure you set aside enough time. Make sure you get there in time, and don't expect it to be over in an hour and a half, which is what they advertise it as.
I don't think anyone has ever needed to or wanted to do this. But if you're on Corrie, you could say, I'm really sorry, I've got to go. And then you might get escorted off the premises. You wouldn't be allowed to wander yourself, I assume, but you might be able to get escorted early.
Yeah.
But here, if you need to go, you've got to wait for the bus.
You're stuck because it's a secret location, isn't it?
Exactly.
Apparently. Yeah, so they take you there, and you're going down the road, and you see the Emmerdale sign, and then over the brow of the hill is the village, and it's just lovely and green, isn't it?
Verdant.
That's one thing. Another thing I really loved about it compared to the Corrie one, just how verdant it is. And they even have what green stuff is there in Coronation Street? You've got Audrey's tree. You got a little bit in the garden, but it's just a bit sad, really, isn't it? And a few weeds sprouting here and there. But because this is set out in the countryside, they have to make sure that it looks lovely and green all the time. And we learnt that they've got a gardener that works there all the time, and he comes in every evening, and his job is to make sure that it looks not just neat, but seasonal, yeah. So it's because, like Coronation Street, Emmerdale films 7-8 weeks in advance, so he has to very cleverly make all the greenery look like how it should do, 2 months after the filming, which is very clever stuff.
Now, because in England, I don't know, but I assume the rest of the British Isles at the moment, the trees are already dropping leaves because of what a terrible summer we've had for plants.
Well, you can't plan for all eventualities.
Autumn. It's starting to look like autumn already. Yeah. So good luck, Gary.
But was it Gary, the gardener?
I'm sure it was Gary.
He they talk about the fact that he germinates daffodils in a greenhouse and then plants them really early so that when they're filming January, I guess, then the March scenes have got it was all very clever. And it was lovely.
Corrie Corrie department just goes, what'd you do that for? Just get plastic ones.
Yeah,
Those suckers don't know the difference.
So we got into the village. They, like at Coronation Street, there's every so often you can stop and get official photos taken, couldn't you? We ended up getting one taken, and we didn't buy it in the end. But there was one at the sign, and you give the lady your ticket, and then you pose, and then
we didn't get one
look
in
at it
front
on the
of
screen.
You could have got one in front of
The wool pack. You
we
can
didn't
do
get
one.
that.
There's a few places I can't remember exactly. Because we didn't really go into that. We knew we didn't really want them. But eventually.
Rude.
Eventually you get down into the village itself, but even before then the tour guide is telling you all facts about the filming technicalities and how it all works, and a bit about the history of the village, and like we've said earlier, it used to be a field, and then now it's this, and it's just really, really interesting stuff. And then you get to the village, and this is another place in my mind how it differs slightly from Coronation Street, in that you kind of get there and you can see the end of the tour, can't you? Because it kind of goes in a loop, and you enter the village and you can see the wool pack there, the pub, up on your left, but you're not allowed to go up to it. You can't get photos at the wool pack until you've been around everywhere else.
No, I think they've worked really hard in Corrie to the way they structure the tours to lead up to the Rovers without feeling like you've being deprived and not allowed to go there.
Yeah, well, we know we've been on the Corrie tour, like we said, many times before, and they've changed the routes, and more bits have been built, like they put the precinct in and the police station, so it's changed over the years. And I don't know at the Emmerdale tour whether there's that much option really for you either go clockwise or anti-clockwise around the village, and
you've got to
that's
enter the
about
wool
it,
pack because that's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
Although we did end up at the graveyard.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. The wool pack's there near the end, but you go up, and Marlon's house is the first one that you see, and this is the one that you mentioned.
The vet.
Yeah, the vets. This is where I think this is one of the few buildings they actually do film inside. It wasn't the fact that it was just made up for us to look like the inside of his house. Actually, this is where they film, and I don't know why they do compared to the other ones. I can't remember whether the bloke said, but again, I think if you're an Emmerdale fan, then that's great, because we don't really get that at Coronation Street. You can see Preston's Petals, you can go into Prima Donna, you can go into the community centre,
and Kev's garage.
Yeah, but none of the houses, which is what I think a lot of people want to be able to see, you can see on Coronation Street, literally, because they're all filmed in the studios. So that's a really nice treat for an Emmerdale fan to be able to look inside and see the lounge where Marlon and whoever he's taken up with at the moment, I've got no idea, get to film their scenes, and then the vet's surgery as well right next to it, which was quite funny because there's a taxidermied cat laid out there on the operating table, or whatever it's called at a vet's. So that was really nice, and we just kind of all filed up diligently and passed by and said hello, and then walked round. Where did we go next?
Oh, you've taken the map off me.
I haven't taken... Oh, sorry, I can't remember. There you go, that's the map for you.
We just went in a loop, so we went up and we saw the vet, like you said, and then we went...
I think we just went round the back, because Main Street's
the back of Main Street.
Yeah, and I don't know who lives there.
For the Village Institute, which is where the Star Tour is held.
Yes, so we kind of were wandering, and like the Coronation Street one, it's stop and listen for a bit, and then you're free to wander for a bit. Stop and listen, free to wander. Don't walk on the grass is the message we kept on being told. Apart from when we were in the thick of Main Street, when it was all plastic and it didn't matter. But yeah, we eventually got round to the Village Institute, and this is where the Star Tour was, and this is obviously a bit different from how Corrie run it now, because now you go through the whole of the tour, come into the experience, and then you got your Coronation Street Star here, but this is more part way through, and this is how Corrie used to do it, isn't it, when they used to have the Star Tour at the police station?
Yes, true.
So the Village Institute was a really kind of lovely old building, and that was another one that felt very, very real, and it was this lovely wooden building.
It did. It felt like a real village hall.
Yeah, a little on the small side, like you said, but it felt like a real, genuine village hall. We were told we weren't allowed to take any pictures or videos inside there, but it was lined with lots of old Emmerdale personal photos and memorabilia and stuff. So they said you can take photos in there.
Don't take a photo.
But because
but nicely.
because of it was being such a small space, they divided us up into 3 groups, and we ended up being in the back group, Group C. So we had to wait fair 15 minutes maybe or so to get in, but there's plenty to see and do because there's all the houses around side, and you can peel off and go through the graveyard if you want to, which is just to the right of it.
Everybody had to wait because you either waited at the end or you waited at the beginning.
What were your expectations and hopes for the Star Tour going in? Because we had to do a Star Tour, even though we don't watch the programme. The people that we went with do watch Emmerdale, and we thought that they would appreciate being able to see a celeb.
I was just hoping that I would recognise who it was.
Yeah.
Because I probably have face blindness or something. Because I was watching Emmerdale. We watched a couple of episodes this week. We did forget to say that.
We watched Wednesday and Thursdays.
I'm not sure if this guy is the same guy that was in it a minute ago or if it's a different man.
Well, it's hard when you're watching a soap because they have some mega casts, don't they?
Well, it's not anyone's fault. It's not, it's just the way brains work. But a lot of them, I haven't watched it long enough to know who they are. It's not like any kind of ignorance that we're displaying here is not through thinking it's hilarious to not know something or trying to big up being dumb about it, or just being honest.
Yeah.
Just don't know. It's not because I think Emmerdale is inferior to Coronation Street and I would never want to know any of their names. It's just simply because I haven't watched it. And I respect all of them. This is one of the reasons why we went to do this, is because I think doing Soap Week 2 also really made me appreciate soap as a whole, as a medium. And you got to put your money where your mouth is. If you're going to go around saying that soap should support each other and we should all to be trying to progress soaps as a whole instead of bickering amongst ourselves, you go and do the tour, you go and look into other soaps and find out about them. But hadn't progressed in my knowledge far enough to be able to know who anybody was.
I think I had 3 tiers in my mind before going into it, and top tier was who I'd really want to see. It was a character who had been in Coronation Street before.
Right, okay.
And there's a few, like the guy who plays Jay on Emmerdale at the moment was Vikram in Coronation Street, and we'd seen Andy Carver in Coronation Street shooting someone with an arrow just a few days on Emmerdale. That would have been fun. So that was kind of my top tier. Second tier down was just somebody that I at least recognise. And then third tier, who I was really, fingers crossed, not going to be getting, was a character who was I literally don't have a clue who you are, and you could be anyone.
It could be an elaborate
Luckily, we ended up with somebody from tier 2, didn't we? So we met James Moore, who plays Ryan Stocks in Emmerdale, and he's Charity Dingles' son, apparently. I didn't even realise that until afterwards.
And isn't he the landlord of the Woolpack?
Yes, he is. He is the current landlord of the Woolpack, although apparently he doesn't appear in the show very much. He does about 30 to 50 episodes a year at the moment, but we recognised him.
I recognised him.
From the awards shows.
Yep.
So that was good enough for us.
When he goes to the awards, he is very popular there. I remember him getting a massive cheer. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, there we go. So it's a good one.
They take you into the village hall and you sit down on the nice sofas, and then they call you up for a photo. It is
as awkward as the Corrie one, though. I will say this is awkward because
having everybody there watching you.
Like you're getting a swimming certificate. You're called up to the front and everyone watches you, and then you have your photo taken and you sit back down again.
Yeah.
I don't know what they can do about this. I don't know if everybody finds this awkward. I think it might just be people like me who are very introverted, and again, obviously didn't have my photo taken, which I thought was very rude of me, but I had to explain, sorry.
You did go up and shake his hand and say hello though, didn't you?
I said hello, yeah.
So we I guess slightly different again from the Coronation Street one. At least now that they have the Coronation Street one at the end inside the experience, they'll often have the actor come up and say a few things and introduce themselves, which James didn't. He was just kind of there sitting on his seat, wasn't he?
Some Corrie people do this and some don't.
Yeah, I suppose not everyone has done that we've been to.
I don't know if they all get briefed the same way. I don't think some of them realise that that's something they could do if they wanted to, but equally I think some of them are like, no thanks.
Yeah. So that was lovely, and I went and had a sit and I got my photo taken, and then we were back out into the village again where we just saw the other bits, and there was a nice play park there, the church we went to, didn't we? You were there diligently kind of going around with your camera filming this and that.
We didn't go in the church because it's too small. See, this is why I think it's not properly to scale, but maybe I misunderstood. But he was talking about these iron holes in the side, and he said that all the wires go through there because it's too small to fit everything. And he also says that sometimes when they're doing scenes, the directors will be in the crowd and directing from in a scene, and I don't think that's ever happened on Corrie.
Not as far as I know.
No, they might have done cameos and sneaky little, I'm going to be in an extra in this for fun, but I don't think they've ever worked
as
during filming
crowd
like
fillers, seat fillers. So that kind of took us round a corner, and then it was just more houses. There was, I think,
Main
David,
Street.
into Main Street. David's shop was around there.
Esholt, I would say, probably is the same from the Grange through to Dale Head, and then the other side.
Hit you with a proper Emmerdale lingo. She's got the book there.
The cafe, Main Street down to Dale View. So those core terraces, those are the main ones that are replicated.
Yeah, and I think they had a lot more creative liberty with billing out where everything else is. Like, I think they put the church in a different place and the graveyard and all that.
It's
kind
really
of stuff.
interesting because the church, it does look unusual to me.
What on the
way
tour?
The way the church looks in the tour, not very many churches look like it. What do you think?
I don't know. It just looked like a little churchy
Well,
chapel
if you
to
go,
me.
there's a rural church. We want to go see this church. You would expect it to look like have a spire and have that traditional cross shaped, but it just looked a bit like a very poor village paid all together to get the smallest building they could. I'm not.
I still appreciated that they had one.
I'm just saying it didn't look like it didn't look like a. If you're picturing a nice country church, you wouldn't. It's unusual. I'm sure that maybe it's a regional thing too. Maybe there are other places like that in Yorkshire.
It was good that they had it, and it's interesting to compare what kind of facilities, if you like, Coronation Street's got versus Emmerdale. So at Emmerdale, they've got the church, they've got the village hall, they've got like a scrapyard or something, haven't they, as well? Whereas Corrie doesn't have anything like that, which is why we never see church scenes anymore, because they have to go out on location to film it. But even on Emmerdale, they were talking about the fact that some places there that you see on the show aren't there. So you've got, what is that, Home Farm, I think? Which is where
Kim Tate's house.
Kim Tate's house, which is, this is half an hour down the road, I think, and it was called, I've got it somewhere, Creskeld Hall it's called, so that's another place you can visit if you're in the area. We didn't. And so if they ever want to have...
Yeah, like 40 minutes.
Yeah, 30-40 minutes or so. And if they ever want to have scenes filmed outside the front of there, they have to go up there, which apparently they don't do much these days.
Now this to me feels like the most obvious thing to build next.
Well, a home farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Because they can't put it in the show as much as they used to, because it's too much of a faff.
But it is in real life a very old, fancy building, and I don't know how easy it would be to replicate.
They built a whole village in 20 weeks.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just spray yoghurt on it, Michael.
Yeah, this is another thing we learned, wasn't it? They put yoghurt on it to encourage mould growth when they built this new set in Lichen and stuff.
I think it's really fascinating to think that probably the same team worked on Corrie after having moved Emmerdale, and they must have learned tricks and...
Yeah, I wonder if it was.
There's clearly a whole industry of people that build aged sets for film and television, but ITV likes to use, the same kind of people. So I do wonder what they learned and what they put into practice from Emmerdale to Corrie.
Yeah. So we kind of went round the corner there. There were more starts and stops. There was Mandy's. What is it that she runs? A beauty parlour-y place, and there's a wedding.
Take a vow.
Take a vow. That's it. The wedding planners and
we have
more
to give
houses.
a shout out to Paul, who was our
he was great.
guide, who was brilliant, and again, really enthusiastic. Loves the show. He also is an extra.
He says that he's done.
Artist.
I think he says he's done tours at Coronation Street
he
as
also
well.
works at Corrie too.
So he knows a bit about that. And eventually we got round to the wall pack, and people were getting their photos taken outside the front of there. I didn't for some reason. I think by the time we got there, I was a little bit like I've seen it now, and I think that's partly like you like I say, you're back at the beginning of the loop again. So I'd kind of already had a sneaky look at the wall pack earlier, and I was ready to move on and see the next bit. But we saw that. Then they took us down over to the bridge, didn't they?
The Death Bridge.
The Death Bridge, apparently, where people have gone over at some points in the past, and it's a little village bridge that goes over a little brook.
No, when this was all built, there was literally nothing here. It was just a valley.
Yeah.
Just a green valley, and they've put every road, every brick, every rock has been put there.
And all of that's what that kind of adds to what I was saying about how realistic it looks. It doesn't look in any way like, a fake road, fake bridge,
it's
anything.
Got all the, here's a wire that clearly has not been used for 20 years. Here's a pole that...
No.
It's all there. It's all they've done. But they've done the same in Corrie. It's quite remarkable.
It really did feel like you could drive over that bridge and then just disappear off down the road, but obviously you couldn't. If you go to the left after that bridge, I think it takes you up to the cricket pavilion, which we didn't actually get to go up to see, did we? And then to the right, there's a road for a bit, and then it ends in a gate, which they just hide if they ever want to have somebody driving off into the distance in Emmerdale. It's really, really fascinating. And then they take you through the graveyard. And I think the graveyard was one of my favourite bits.
I'm kind of jealous of this graveyard.
This is something that I really wish that Corrie had.
Yeah.
And it's partly because you can go through it and see the graves of all these past characters. And even though we don't know Emmerdale at all, we know some of the surnames, like your Dingles and your Sugdens, and it's like,
Tom King.
I recognise that, and it is a really, really lovely tribute to past characters. And in Coronation Street, there's so little like that. You got Maxine's bench, you got Maddie's mural. There's a Seb's memorial garden still. There's barely anything to do with Seb there, but this had some really great tributes to people from the last 50 years.
When they film scenes for graveyards or cemeteries in Coronation Street, they're filmed in different places. I don't know if it's always supposed to be the same place, but obviously they film in real graveyards.
Usually it's the St Mary's one they go to, but even that is so rare these days that you get that.
But they have to, BYO tombstone.
Yeah.
So it's not anybody's real grave, and so they have to take it with them. So there's no Coronation Street graveyard.
No.
I know it's macabre, but I really... Maybe we start one. But I really
we've got Stan's grave to start them off, haven't we?
I would really... I think that's one of the things I'm jealous of the most.
Yeah, and I just love it. And you had Val Pollard's massive grave with the weeping angel over the top of it, and it was some of the graves did look proper old. And I think when they built this new set, they shipped in a load of graves from a London cemetery. Gravestones, body and all. No, just the gravestones from a London cemetery, Woodgrange Park Cemetery. And they was like, we don't need these anymore. I'm not sure. I think that the tour guide was saying that if they've been unused for 100 years, then it's perfectly legal to move a gravestone somewhere else around the country, which is a bit,
I know it's legal, and I know that I think you're only really renting it, and it's something ridiculously short amount of time that they can leave it before they bury somebody on top of you.
There, yeah.
But can I just say, I don't think gravestones are ever unused. Unless the body's not there. I'm still using it. I'm still dead. I haven't come back to life. I'm still using it.
Well, the fact that it came from London makes me think that maybe they'd have preferred to have ended up in an EastEnders graveyard. Although I guess 100 years ago, wasn't any EastEnders back then, was there? So no. Probably okay.
Probably fine.
There was also.
what would you do? What would you? What? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things that made me go, "That's odd."
I don't know what proportion of the graves there were real graves and how many of them were fake.
I'd say 2/3 felt like they were characters.
Yeah.
It was kind of hilarious.
50 to 2/3, 50% to 2/3.
But how many there were in there? It was a stupid amount of people that you could say, I've seen that person die.
But they've had over 100 deaths on Emmerdale, just like Coronation Street has. And I think the guy was saying, well, not everybody gets a gravestone there. It's just some of the main characters do, and if they want to have a scene there. But I do like the fact that there's the opportunity for graveyard scenes, which you just don't seem to get on Coronation Street anymore.
There's no permanent memorial for the vast majority of the characters.
No, but you equally, like I was saying, you don't often even have the grave scenes or the
true.
funeral scenes
They
because
even
it's
have
too
a funeral,
expensive to have the location shoots, whereas Emmerdale doesn't need to. It's got it all here, which is lovely. So it took us through there, and that was kind of basically it. And then we were back off on the coach and away, weren't we?
Wouldn't you love to do a Halloween tour at the Emmerdale Village? I bet they
that
do
would be
really
quite good. I don't know
one.
what things they do, anything special during the year. Oh, speaking of tributes, there was that lovely tribute to one of the Emmerdale prop designers. Did you hear about that? And he's just in one of the gardens there. Has got a little plaque with his name on, and it's not anything that ever appears on screen, but he's got his own little tribute there, which is lovely. Yeah. So how what were your general overall impressions of it? Was it what you would have wanted? Do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really nice. I was surprised. I guess when we came away from it, I was looking at my step count going, oh yeah, brilliant, I bet I've got over 10,000 today. And it was about 6,000, which included the house. So it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. But, they still packed in a lot of...
Yeah, how big is it compared to the Corrie one? Because we know that the Media City Coronation Street set is the biggest single production set in the world for a TV show, isn't it? But this still felt, I think it's because Corrie still feels walled in, whereas this was kind of in the middle of this sprawling fields and hills. It still felt fairly large. And I know it was just going around in a loop, like I said earlier, and Corrie got a few more nooks and crannies and different paths you can take. But I still felt that I definitely got, if you go there, you get your money's worth and you see a lot. And I still really, really, the thing I love the most about it is how it felt real, and it didn't feel artificial in the same way that Corrie has to. You go to the precinct and you can see it's literally where the sheer edges of it are cut off, and there's none of that in Emmerdale at all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was lovely. Not knowing anything about it was fun to kind of like, I don't know what I expected. The tour was great.
The tour guide, I think, for the script was good enough for people who didn't know the programme, because I was worried that he'd be talking too much about in-universe stuff and we wouldn't have a clue. And there was that, this is where such and such happened, this is where so-and-so lives. But I didn't feel that as a non-fan I was super missing out on with the script. Did you?
No. I said, there wasn't as much behind the scenes or production stuff. He did talk about production things, but a lot of it was saying, who lives here and who lives there, and with his storyline was associated with this location, and do you remember this happening, and this is where so-and-so did so-and-so. So that was like, oh, okay. It doesn't mean much to me. The production side would have interested me more, but that's not what everyone else is there for.
No.
Like, it doesn't matter if you can still learn something from a production of any set.
And it was lovely to see, the other people on the tour who were Emmerdale fans going, I can't believe it, there's this place, we're really here. There were some other people that we heard there that said, we don't even watch it, we just wanted to come along and see what it's like us. Fun, yeah. But it was lovely to see the people who like it.
It's part of the history of this country its culture.
I still found it interesting, and I get this on the Corrie tour as well, how some of the guests who go there, that go on the tours, are still really clueless about where anyone lives. And then you were like this for years on Coronation Street, even after we started the podcast.
I still don't know what their addresses are, but I could tell you who lives in which house now.
But the tour guide was kind of stopping at various places and saying, who lives here? And there weren't very many people that know. And then he says, and it's like, that's where so-and-so lives.
Part of that is I don't want to be called on by teacher.
I don't know, but I was still hearing people going, so that's where so-and-so lives.
And it's really funny, though. It's really funny because they go to this meticulous detail of like making sure that everything this it's got to be right, and we moved it from here to here, and oh dear, it's not exactly the same, what are people going to say? And then half of them are like, I didn't even know anyone lived in that house.
I think they've still got some buildings in there that are not being used.
I did ask this, but I don't think anyone answered my question. Is every house occupied by a character? Because that's not true of Coronation Street.
No, not
on the main street. Yes, everybody lives in a house, but when you go beyond there, Not everybody lives everywhere.
Well, you've got Maudsley Street as well in Coronation Street, haven't we? You've got the backs of all those houses there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, overall, fascinating tour. Very much worth going on. I'm glad we did, because we've been talking about it for years, haven't we? And yeah, despite not knowing anything about Emmerdale, it didn't spoil the day whatsoever. I came away feeling that I'd learned some things, and both tours have got their ups and their downs. I just loved all the outdoorsiness of this and how beautiful and rural and green it was. That was absolutely lovely.
I know that ITV puts restrictions on some things that they can do. Like, for example, when they gave out the tour programmes, you have to have your name on it. It has to be dedicated to you, the signature.
Yeah, you have to write it on the front,
so that you can't just sell it. But, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, my head's always thinking, like, oh, what would you do with this? What would you do with that? Like, have actual farmhouse products for sale in the shop. Like, wouldn't you like to buy some eggs from Dingles farm or whoever?
Yeah.
Or, like, the activity centre, open an actual activity centre branded with Emmerdale stuff.
I think that...
I don't think they can, because I don't think Corrie would let them.
I think that there is definitely scope for opening something akin to the indoor experience that's been there at Coronation Street for the past couple of years, where you can see the costumes and props and read about the show. There was nothing really like that for the Emmerdale, but it's certainly there was space if they wanted to do something like it.
I don't think so.
They could build something, couldn't they?
They could build anything. Anyone could build anything. We could build a mansion.
I just think it would... I would still say that... I would still say overall, I think the Coronation Street one, in its present state, offers best value for money. We've changed that over the years, because they've added extra to Coronation Street. You get to see all the variety in Coronation Street. You've got the indoor bits. There's no movie. When you go to the Coronation Street one, there's the film that they show you at the beginning, which really does help set the tone. And there was nothing like that at Emmerdale. And again, how much does that? I literally I don't know.
No, look.
I'm not criticising. I'm just saying that it would have been
realistically, nice. This. It's not a tour. They've opened it for tours, but it wasn't built for that. So you'd have to put in so much more infrastructure than you would do at Media City, because Media City, they just built an extra bit onto the side of the existing building, and then Coronation Street uses that themselves for various things. I don't know who actually owns it, whether one rents from the other one. But they, Continuum probably would have had to invested some money in it. But I know that there is unlimited space, in theory, because it's in the middle of the country and it's part of the Howard estate, and theoretically they own all of it. But they've still got to actually build it, and then what are they using it for when it's not in use, and where are you going to park, and... It's not.
I don't need to worry about that kind of details.
Put a video in.
Or, like you said at the beginning, having something on the shuttle bus as you're coming through, like pumping through guides, or, you get the coaches with the TV screens, don't you? If they could use that to show some old clips, I think it would be really helpful.
Well, they've got this contract with this Tetley bus company, which is very funny, because it should have been a Yorkshire tea company.
It's not Tetley tea, there, is it?
No, it isn't.
Anyway, that's about it. Any final... bits to add about it? Definitely recommend it.
Do you know what? All the way through, I kept thinking, I would love to see Dingle All the Way do something about this. I really wish Dingle All the Way was here, because I think, that's the podcast that does Emmerdale. We're not affiliated with each other at all, but I would just love to know from an expert. I wish we had somebody with us who was a proper expert on Emmerdale, because we've kind of had that experience through going to Corrie and spoken to the Corriepedia guys, all of the tour guys. Obviously Paul, who worked at the tour, he was really brilliant. But the first few times we went on the Corrie tour at Media City, it was with actors who showed us a lot more than we see on a tour. So we'd already seen all of that kind of production-y bits, and that was what I really wanted to see. I really wanted to, where do you put the cameras? Where, all of that real, I don't know, not as exciting for lots of people. But yeah, all the in-depth stuff, I just think that's really fascinating. And I know that, I'm sure that other people would have found it interesting, but the character side was more what it was about. And I think that's the same at the Corrie tour as well.
Well, if you're a Coronation Street fan and you haven't watched Emmerdale like us and you're still on the fence about it, I'd say it's definitely worth it. If you're an Emmerdale fan, 100% this is worth going on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think getting tickets at the moment, I think you can't there's not that many available until the autumn, but so you have to book quite early. So get in there, get some tickets. It's really, really good stuff, and I am looking forward to seeing how it evolves, or hearing about how it evolves in the future. I can't imagine we'll go again, but
would plan to spend the whole day there because of the house as well.
Yeah, for sure. And go along to Esholt if you're an Emmerdale fan. Find yourself home farm as well.
Muddy Boots Cafe.
Yeah, it's a great
it's
town.
It's right nearby, and it is absolutely
thank you to everyone at the Emmerdale Tour for being so welcoming.
Thank you.
Right, that is it, everybody. That is our review of the Emmerdale Tour. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the pictures and the videos. If you've been watching on YouTube as well, and if you've been listening, you just have to imagine it. No, get over to YouTube, go and watch it. We're going to go now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Goodbye.